Welcome to No Nonsense Guy SA.
All right, South Africa. Well, welcome back to the No Nonsense Guy. The place where we cut through the waffle, ignore the spin, and just talk about what actually matters in this madhouse we call a country. Moron. And I'm not sure if that's what Byron calls it, but that credit does go out to Byron from the Daily Shut. Today, I've given you 5 stories that you need to know about. Malema finally learns the limits of free speech. Good. Ford SA slashes jobs. Ramaphosa wasn't aware it was going to happen, apparently. Our hospitals actually do something world-class, believe it or not. And then Cyril and friends trying to fix global inequality and Transnet. Finally, letting the private sector get involved and clean up their mess. So grab your coffee, grab a whiskey, grab a stress ball. Let's go. So first up, Julius Malema. The courts have ruled that some of his rhetoric, that lovely gem about never being scared to kill in a revolution, especially white people, isn't politics. It's actually hate speech. Now, don't expect him in orange overalls anytime soon. More likely, fines, maybe some restrictions, community service if the judge is feeling creative. But the real punishment, Malema loses his favorite shield, hiding behind free speech every time he riles up a crowd. Of course, his supporters are already screaming, political persecution, because when the whole brand is outrage, the second you're told to tone it down, people, you just shout louder. Here's the bigger picture. This isn't just about Juju, peeps. This is about our constitution. Free speech is not free license to call for violence. And for once, the courts drew the line, and it's about time. Next, let's talk about Ford South Africa. Over 470 workers are getting retrenched. Why? Sluggish demand, high costs, and yes, government red tape choking competitiveness. Unions are blaming management. Management is blaming policy. And who pays? The workers. Always the workers. This is exactly what happens when the government industry treats industry like a piggy bank instead of a partner. They keep talking about industrial policy and localization like it's some magic wand. If it worked, 470 families wouldn't be staring at unemployment right now, right? Not rocket science, folks. Free up business, cut the nonsense, let the companies compete. Otherwise, more jobs will vanish quicker than Eskom's wet coal stockpile. Now, some good news for once. Tygerberg Hospital in Cape Town, run by the DA, has just pulled off South Africa's first robotic knee surgery. Proper world-class stuff, might I add. Not just a flashy demo. This was a real donor kidney removal done in under 90 minutes, 1.5 hours. Less invasive, quicker recovery, and here's the clinch, cheaper. See, this is what happens when you actually back innovation in healthcare. Imagine if this attitude was everywhere, instead of tender scandals, strikes, and hospitals running out of oxygen. Credit where it's due. Tygerberg, you've done the country proud. More of this, please. Now, on to Cyril and his big international moment. South Africa is launching a G20 task force to look at global inequality and debt. What a joke. And they've even roped in Nobel Prize economist Joseph Stiglitz. Fancy, hey? Does sound impressive. But they say leading a global economic conversation. But can you really fix the world's inequality problem when you can't even fix potholes in Jersey and on the N1? So let's give credit where it's due. By chairing this task force, Ramaphosa actually puts us at the center of the global South's push for fairer trade and finance. If it works, it could mean more investment, more credibility, we hope, and maybe fewer people rolling their eyes when you say South Africa. Will it change your electricity bill or grocery prices tomorrow? No. But geopolitically, it's a smart play. If, and this is a big if, of course, we don't drop the ball, which is always a risk with South Africa. And finally, trains. Government has decided to let private companies run freight on Transnet's rail network. Why? Because Transnet turned what used to be a national asset into a scrapyard. Between the cable theft, the vandalism, the plain old incompetence, okay? They couldn't keep the wheels turning. Now private companies can step in, run their own trains, and actually get coal and iron ore to port. That means efficiency, export, and tax money for the country. There's trucks on the road. So this could be a very, very good thing. Of course, the usual suspects are already whining about privatization. But let's be real. This isn't ideology. It's survival, Mensa. When the state fails, the market steps in. That's it. And for once, government has admitted it. So, there you have it. Malema gets a legal slap. Ford workers get shafted. Tygerberg gives us something to be proud of. Cyril goes global. Squirrel. And Transnet finally lets someone competent touch the trains. That's South Africa. Chaos, collapse, brilliance, and irony. All in 1 week. I'm the no-nonsense guy. Thanks for tuning in. Stay sharp, stay skeptical, and never let the nonsense win. All right. So we're clear once again, in case I've offended Senzo Mchunu or any of his ilk, okay? These are my opinions, not my bosses, not my sponsors, not my neighbors. And what's left of free speech, I get to say what I think. And that's exactly what you just heard. And if you don't like it, Senzo, that's your problem. Catch you at the next one, guys. Take care. God bless. And remember, use this wonderful thing that the Lord gave you, your brain. Take care. Until next time. God bless.